Year 1918, when the world was gripped by one of the deadliest pandemics in history, the Spanish flu. World War I was nearing its end. Soldiers moved across continents, cities were bustling, and science was only beginning to understand viruses. Amidst all this, an invisible enemy was brewing, a deadly strain of the influenza virus. The Spanish flu was caused by an H1N1 influenza A virus. It wasn't Spanish as the name would suggest, but Spain was one of the few countries openly reporting on it. Nations involved in the war suppressed information to maintain morale. Ironically, the transparency made it seem like Spain was the epicenter. And thus, the name stuck. The virus spread like wildfire. By the end of the pandemic in 1919, nearly a third of the global population, about 500 million people, had been infected. Tragically, it claimed an estimated 20 to 50 million lives. Some estimates even suggest up to 100 million. One reason the Spanish flu was so devastating was timing. The world was already reeling from war. Troop movements, crowded trenches, and global transportation acted as accelerators. Soldiers returning home brought the virus to their communities. But what made it truly alarming was its impact on healthy young adults. Typically, the flu is most dangerous for the very young and the elderly. But this virus seemed to target those in the prime of life, people aged 20 to 40. Scientists now believe it was due to something called a cytokine storm. This occurs when a strong immune system overreacts, flooding the body with immune cells and causing severe inflammation. Instead of fighting the virus, the immune response caused massive lung damage. Patients didn't just have the flu, they suffered severe pneumonia. Some turned blue due to lack of oxygen, others bled from their noses and mouths. The virus was ruthless. The Spanish flu came in waves. The first wave, early 1918. It was relatively mild, resembling the seasonal flu. The second wave, late 1918. This was the deadliest phase. It spread quickly and claimed millions of lives. The third wave, early 1919. Though less severe than the second, it still caused significant mortality. By late 1919, the virus seemed to disappear as suddenly as it had appeared. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Healthcare workers struggled without modern medical tools or vaccines. Cities imposed quarantines, schools and businesses closed, and public gatherings were banned. Sound familiar? The Spanish flu and more recent pandemics like COVID-19 share striking similarities. But back then, there was no antiviral treatment, no ventilators, and no robust public health infrastructure. People relied on basic measures like masks and hand washing, but it wasn't enough. The legacy of the Spanish flu is profound. It was a wake-up call for global public health. It spurred advances in virology and epidemiology, and it laid the groundwork for modern pandemic preparedness. We now have vaccines, antiviral medications, and international cooperation to combat similar threats. Yet, the Spanish flu reminds us of the fragility of human life and the importance of vigilance. As we reflect on the Spanish flu, it's not just a story of tragedy, it's a story of resilience. Humanity faced an unprecedented challenge and emerged stronger. Today, we honor the memory of those who suffered and lost their lives, and we carry forward the lessons learned, so that history does not repeat itself.